Hi everybody, welcome to my lives all about imposter syndrome. So if you would like to overcome your imposter syndrome, if you'd like some hints and tips to help you get over it, you are in the right place. And I'm really pleased to say that I've got a special guest with me today, Natalie, who is the owner and runs Body Image Coaching. So you'll be able to hear all about that in a minute. So I'm Jane and I run Jane Phillips Coaching, and I specialize in imposter syndrome. I help individuals and business owners to overcome their imposter syndrome so that they can be bold and brave and they can say yes to those fantastic opportunities that we tend to let us pass by. And ultimately, we can earn more money. So, if you want to know a little bit more about me, my email's there. I run one-to-one coaching, and I've also developed an imposter syndrome course as well, which can help you to overcome your imposter syndrome. And of course, every Wednesday lunchtime, you can catch me here talking about imposter syndrome as well. So I'm just going to bring Natalie into the room, and I'll be able to introduce her properly. Hi there, Natalie.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, it's brilliant that you've joined me today. I'm really excited about this talk that we're going to do. So I'll tell everyone watching a little bit about you. So Natalie is a body image coach, and I think this is a really sort of topical for imposter syndrome. But Natalie works with women to change how they feel about their bodies, so that they can know their true worth, so that they can stop dieting, stop comparing themselves, and be healthier and happier. And let's face it, we'd all like some of that, wouldn't we? Really would.
Anyone who says they don't, I'm not convinced.
So Natalie can tell us a bit more about herself and about her business as well in a minute. But Natalie, in what areas of your life do you think that you've experienced imposter syndrome?
Oh, everyone, I got it before I came on here. Just in like, what am I going to talk about imposter syndrome about? I think for me, God, when I was thinking about this, I thought, do you know what? I couldn't pin it down to like one thing. For me, it feels like it was everything. And I don't know, I couldn't say to you, oh, it was about this age. I feel like I started to suffer with it. I think it just slowly built up, because I think sometimes it starts off as like, oh, maybe we're just not feeling as confident in something. And I think for me, it was around about the time that I started to develop the body image issues and I had body dysmorphia. So obviously that ties in with low self-worth, low self-esteem. So then every time I tried to do something new, the imposter syndrome head was there. You're not good enough. Everyone else is going to do better than you. This is ridiculous. The idea that I had to know everything or I knew nothing. This all or nothing mentality. And I think I used to do it definitely with education and work. So I must have stayed on the same salary, doing the same type of work for probably 15 years, because I would never apply for a job. Like, I would never go for a promotion because, I can't do that. And I would never go for another job because I'm not skilled in that, even though I trained as a counsellor, I trained as a personal trainer, I did my psychology, and it was never good enough. I was still stupid. And I might, like I think we all do if we're suffering with it. It was very much like, I don't know how I managed to I got a first in my psychology, and I was still like, I don't know how I managed to get a first. Bloody hell, that must have been an easy course. Maybe it wasn't as good as some of the other psychology courses and all this stuff.
And Natalie, what you're saying, it's absolutely classic, all of those things. And yet you are, you're an expert of what you do. You're highly qualified. Getting a first is amazing.
Even now, when you say expert, internally I go, no, you're not.
But you are, because you change people's lives, don't you? You really make the massive difference. You said that you experienced body dysmorphia. Do you want to just tell people what that is in case anybody's not sure?
Yeah, of course. Basically, body dysmorphia is when you have a very distorted view of what you look like. So it's basically, you could be whatever size you were, whether you're size 6, 12, 20, it doesn't matter. when you look in that mirror, you look different. So I would always be on the slimmer side, but I would always think I looked fat. I would always think I looked horrible. And so like every time you look in the mirror, it is super distorted, and that obviously changes how you eat, how you behave. It has a knock-on effect. So it can get, I mean, lucky for me, my eating was quite disordered, but it never got to the extremes of anorexia or bulimia or anything like that. So I am lucky to that degree, because that's where it can end up, on the eating side of it. But yeah, I think it's just and it's all consuming body dysmorphia. It's very much, it's all about what you look like, and this constant thought in the back of your head telling you you're unattractive, you're ugly, they think you're fat, you are fat, you need to lose weight. Just basically as you go through your day, it's like relentless.
That's just incredible, isn't it? You know, so I've got something that, as you say, is all consuming, that completely takes you over. So, you know, it's absolutely amazing that you've turned that around. But, you know, it's also so relevant to what you do, isn't it? You know, and you know, when you look in the mirror and you're not happy with what you see, whether it's one way or the other, you're not meeting your own personal standards, you're not meeting your own expectations, and that's where it joins in, where the imposter syndrome links in, that, you know, whatever you do, however you look, you know, you never think it's good enough. It's never the way you want to look, is it?
No,
so
exactly.
there is a really close link, and I think the fact that you've experienced that means that you really understand your clients, don't you?
And
I think inside their head.
And I think it can show up in different ways for everyone. But like you said, I think the main thing for me, and how it like merges so well with imposter syndrome, is just that, you know, if we think generally, if we're struggling with body image, we're like, our bodies are kind of everything. Do you know what I mean? If we don't look a certain way, we are worthy of nothing else, and we can't be happy. And therefore, we develop imposter syndrome in every other area, because until we look a certain way, we're rubbish at this and rubbish at that. We're rubbish as a partner. We're rubbish as a mom. We're just rubbish at everything. And I think building that self-worth back up as an actual person, in our abilities, in our skills, just completely changes the cards that you think you're holding, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, because if we don't feel confident in one area, it just erodes into the other areas, doesn't it? It just affects it all. So, you know, I mean, as I said, you are brilliant at what you do. You know, you really are. And you had imposter syndrome before you came on here. But yeah, you've gone on and you've started your own.
Manage it now.
You've started your own business. So, you know, did you suffer with it when you were setting up your business? And also go on and tell us about your business as well.
So I do just online coaching at the minute. So I've set up a membership. So it's like ongoing support for people on different areas, and do one-to-one. So I'm all about our mindset around how we feel about ourselves. So just really changing that and building our self-worth, tackling all those thoughts that we have, knowing what we're actually really good at and all our strengths. I'm a big pusher on habits, so the habits of things that we do and how they make us feel. So that is kind of what I'm all about, with the angle of, I'm a very body neutral, body acceptance person, rather than body positivity per se. So I don't think you need to love your body all the time. I think it's unrealistic. I'm very much, I want people to actually not think about their bodies as much. So I come from the angle of, yes, look after it, feed it well, move it, but that's it. Look after it. It's not, you know, so you won't see me rolling around in bikinis, because I don't want you to look at my body, because it's not that important. It's kind of my angle. So and you know what, when I set it up, it was funny, because when I thought about setting it up, it was lockdowns. We're going for about a year now. And I had this idea, and it's like, oh, I'll do this. And in my head at the time, I was like bigging myself up. It's like, oh, I've got all these skills, and I've worked for years in addiction and prison services, doing the same thing, but not about bodies per se. And I'm like, you can do this. It's amazing. And then when you start doing it, so I think for me, it's when I start doing something in my head, before I set it up, before I start doing anything, I will tell myself, you're great, you can do this. I'm like, yay. But then when I actually take steps to do it and it becomes real, the little voice pops up. So yeah, I was very much like, what are you doing? You know, you've never had a job that pays more than this amount. What makes you think that you can even do this? This is ridiculous. Everyone's going to laugh at you. You know, your partner thinks you're going crazy. And I think, yeah, and I had to bash through quite a lot of that. But I had to do that with a lot of help from other people. That wasn't something I was going to do myself. But yeah, and I think as far as kind of the imposter syndrome and the body image together goes, having to realize that if I was going to set up an online business, I would have to go on camera. Filled me with horror, because although I'd put to bed quite a lot of my issues, you know, we still all have negative thoughts. We always will do. And I've never been that active on social media. I'm quite a private person, so you know, I never really posted pictures of myself, like what I was doing at the weekend or what my kids were up to. Never really talked about any of my problems on social media, anything like that. So the idea then of having to be present and visible, and, you know, maybe recording something that people are going to listen to, and this is supposed to help them, and it all came back, and I was like, who are you? You're going to look stupid on these videos. Everyone else looks more professional. What do you know? This is ridiculous. You don't know their problems. And my sister, bless her, as I was setting it up, said something which was a thought I'd been having. And luckily I'd kind of done some talking to myself about it. But she said, you know, do you think that, and she said, I know I'm coming from this, she said, you know, I'm coming from this from a good place, and it's not what I'm thinking, but do you think that maybe people in larger bodies will relate to you because you are in a smaller body? You know, do you think that that's going to hinder you a little bit? And I was like, this has crossed my mind, because I think there is this divide sometimes. And I think, but I said, you know, that's the more reason why I have to do this, because, you know, body image and body dysmorphia and all these things, it's not exclusive to any body shape, you know, because our body image is a mental issue. It's not a physical issue. So on that side, we're all the same. And I think we do, however, get different external things. So I would say to people, you know, I have been lucky enough to have the thin privilege, as they'll call it. I'm not sure I like the term, but I'll use it. In the fact that, you know, I've never been bullied for how I look. You know, there might be jokes around my nose used to go around, and, you know, the texture of the skin on my legs. It was a bit, I used to get called dot to dot at school. And so things like that. But, you know, I haven't been bullied about my weight. That was just me. And I think, so I understand that other people have different things that are holding them back, and different memories externally, I suppose. But yeah, I'm a big fan in kind of trying to level out that, so that we're not comparing ourselves negatively, positively in any way to each other, and more being supportive of each other, really. And I'm very much like, if you're judging anyone's body, you may as well be judging your own. Is kind of my approach, because then you still got that thin phobia, fat phobia. It's obviously still going on if you've got negative things to say about someone else with regards to their weight. So it showed up so much. And even now, when I try and do new things, like when I set up my membership in September, I was like, God, no one will join. This is going to be, what are you doing? You know, and I did the whole thing you do in business, like, well, I'll wait till I've got loads of people who say they're interested, and then I'll do it. But I'd work with people and they're like, set it up, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, just doubting myself.
And you know what you're saying there, you know, both of those things, again, it's so classic. So, you know, you talk about you weren't bullied at school for, you know, for sort of how you look, or, you know, comments weren't made, but actually, you know, the way that we feel about ourselves, yes, it's affected by what other people say to us and external situations, but it's also affected by what's going on in here, you know, without a doubt. And sometimes that's the loudest voice that we hear. And, you know, we distort sometimes the situations and things that have happened to you know, in our lives, to ourselves, and then that just, you know, becomes amplified in our minds, you know. And so it's that voice, isn't it, that's so damaging, you know.
Absolutely.
And so actually how we look and how good we are is actually irrelevant, because it's what's going on in our head, what we're telling ourselves about either how we look or about how clever we are. That is the problem, isn't it? That's drawing us back.
It doesn't matter how you look or how much you know. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll show up in a way that won't attract people anyway. And I think, you know, it is very much just about what we believe and what we've attached to things. So like, so growing up, I wasn't bullied for weight or anything, but it was very much, okay, your sister is the academic one, you know, she's the one who's going to go far, she's going to get a brilliant job. And I was the one who was good at exercise. So you should get a partner because you'll find it easier. You're slimmer than your sister. You'll get a partner easy, and you should maybe train to do something in fitness because that's where your strengths are. So we both set off on this path, you know, my sister being paranoid about her weight, on the larger side, me being paranoid about putting on weight, because if I put on weight, I've lost this strength that I have, you know. It shows up in so many different ways.
And you know, the thing that's really important in terms of imposter syndrome, but actually I think it's beyond imposter syndrome as well, is about, you know, how we rate success in ourselves. So for instance, if people have been saying to you about you and your sister, oh, your sister's the bright one, well actually the sort of subliminal message there is that actually you're not very clever. You are, you know. And it's those sorts of things that start worrying us, start to affect how we feel about ourselves, you know. And as you say about your body image and so on. So it's, you know, because of all these sort of external situations and things that are said to us, that can make us, that can help us to create our own different definition of success. You know, whether it's being, you know, whether it's being bright, whether it's being very physically, you know, active. And when we don't meet that, when our path changes, then we always feel like we're not succeeding. But actually, who's to say that vision of success is right? You know, we've created it anyway.
I love that, because it is so true. Like what we think success is, because like, you know, my family, they may say they're not, but they are quite you know, it's important to get good grades, and of course it is. I'm not saying that getting good grades doesn't help us out in life, but it is always very much that. And I remember probably from like early 20s thinking like, I kind of just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. But at the same time, all the decisions I made due to how I felt made me unhappy. So it was like this. I was like, I don't want to be like this crazy successful person and roll around in my notes on the bed and, you know, bath in bloody truffles or anything. I just want to be happy and just go through my days and be present. And that's kind of like all I ever wanted, is like success wise. But that was always a bit like, oh, right, okay. Right, so you've no ambition then. And it'd be like, oh, yeah, I think that's an all right ambition, really. But
so Natalie, do you want to tell people about how you work with people one-to-one, or tell them about your membership? Did you run a course recently?
Yes, I've got a challenge coming up actually. So I'm doing a Reclaim Yourself little thing, Reclaim Yourself 5-day body image challenge, which starts on the 29th of November. So I've not been on LinkedIn for ages, but I have made sure I've updated everything if anyone did want to check that out. So basically I created like oh, there's someone, my partner, who shouldn't be allowed downstairs, is moving around. Basically created like a happy me method. So basically it's all the things that I think are quite vital to changing how we feel about ourselves. So things like our habits, our affirmations, how we talk to ourselves, our self-perception, you know, homing into the positive things that are going on, self-care, motivation, emotions. So it's kind of like a medley of all them. So that's what I'm gonna like cover in the challenge, because I think sometimes we focus a lot on, because a lot of people maybe join my group or they'll come and have a chat with me and they still want to lose weight, and that is perfectly fine. That's not, you can want to lose weight, gain weight. It's the reasons why you're doing it, which is what I will work with people on. So the reasons around why we think we need to do that. So like if I'm working with someone one-to-one, it'll be whatever they show up with. For some people it's like, well, actually I've done quite a lot on my thinking and my beliefs and I'm okay with that. It's more about I need to start setting boundaries and changing my environment and all these things. Whereas other people are going, well, I'm okay with that. But for me, these reoccurring thoughts just can't stop. And therefore, that's what I'll focus on. But hopefully by the end of anything I do, whether it's the monthly membership, one-to-one, or even the free challenge, is I really want people to have positive habits that make themselves feel good, and mainly have that belief that they are worth more, that they can do it. Because I think a lot of the time when I start speaking to people, they're just like, yeah, well, I've tried stuff before to feel better, it just doesn't work, it's not for me. I think I'll always feel this way. And you know what, if the minimum thing I do is shift someone into thinking, damn, yeah, of course I can, I am worth more than this, and it's worth me putting all this hard work in, because it is hard work, then for me, I've success.
Yeah. And I think that's why, you know, like support network is so important. I'm just going to bring your contact details up. So there we go. Let's bring that up. So everyone should be able to see that. So if you were interested in this Facebook group, you've got the details there, and also your website as well. But yeah, the challenge sounds absolutely amazing. So yeah,
I'm super looking forward to it. Yes, I'm just creating it now. I'm doing it as a brand new one. So I've done a couple before in the past, and it's slightly different. So I'm tailoring this one in line with the method. So yeah, I'm super excited. We're going to look at unhealthy habits, affirmations, a bit of everything. So yes, I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, it's been really great to have you join me on my live today, Natalie. Really good.
Thank you for asking me. I've missed seeing your face. I've not seen your face for a while, so it's been nice.
I know, absolutely. So if anyone's interested in joining that challenge, and I think that is an absolutely fantastic thing that you're doing, but also I think time of year wise, it's really good, because here we are coming up to the silly season. So
yes,
great to be doing something.
I have not enjoyed many a Christmas being paranoid about how my dress fits, rather than actually spending time with family. So absolutely, yeah, bang on.
Yeah. Well, lovely. So thank you so much for joining me today, Natalie, and thank you everybody who's joined this. If you are watching it on the replay, you know, just put replay live in the comments. If you've got any questions that you want to add, even if you're watching it on the replay, you can pop those in the comments, because I will look at it later and see if there's anything there. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.